about that. Scott Waller, who is the president and CEO of the Mississippi Economic Council and someone who's been on my other show many times, is joining us now. He's got a full plate. We'll get into all of that here shortly. But he's joined us actually from the studio there in Jackson. Scott, how you doing, my friend?
Doing great. It's always good to see you, Ricky.
It's good. Listen, I was doing some research this morning, and I don't know, man. I just kind of ran across this interesting fact about you. And is it right that you're from Shibuya, Mississippi?
That is correct. That is correct. Grew up there.
Yeah, so it's about around 500 people, something like that.
Yeah, very, very, very small town where you knew growing up as a child if you did something wrong, you didn't have to wait for your parents to get on to you because somebody else would. I mean, they took care of us. It was a great place to grow up, for sure.
That sounds like my neighborhood in Gulfport in a neighborhood called Bayview. The parents kind of took up for each other. But I would say that here's an interesting way to describe you. You got a bit of policy wonkery in you, so you feel very comfortable talking about policy, but you also have those small town roots that coming from a place like Shibuya gives you, and that's what makes you, in my view, kind of an interesting guest. That makes you a terrific leader of the MEC, and the truth is you've had your hands full.
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened, but
yeah, that's okay. You're there. Go
it's
ahead.
Back now. Yeah, I really have. And the one thing too, I mean, one of the other aspects of it, and I think you know this as well. Your former profession and mine kind of coincided when I spent over 20 years in the newspaper business before coming to MEC. So those backgrounds really have, I think, helped me understand, number one, our state. Understand, number two, how you get to the crux of an issue by looking at both sides of it, and then number three, building relationships with state leaders and legislators to allow us to really get down to figuring out what we need to do best for the business community in our state. So I've had a very blessed career and look forward to some big things still ahead. So it's going to be great.
Well, listen, you've been on my show. You've been on the other shows here on SuperTalk, updating citizens, the business community, anyone who has an interest about the efforts underway with the Mississippi Economic Council, the Mississippi Manufacturers Association, and the Business and Industry Political Education Committee, better known as BIPEC. We'll talk about that later this segment, maybe the first part of the next segment. But Hobnob Week is a big deal. In fact, Richard Cross, Mornings with Richard Cross are going to be there at Hobnob Thursday with political leaders experiencing a day of networking and great food. But it's a big time, isn't it?
It is. And look, the relationship we've had with SuperTalk for so long to be doing the live remotes at our events, and Hobnob in particular is always a lot of fun because it's a little more relaxed than a couple of our other meetings that we have. They're a little more kind of, you don't have to wear a tie. You don't even have to wear a sport coat if you don't want to. Just come. That's the thing. Come and do exactly what the name of the event says, Hobnob. It's interesting. There's kind of two groups of people that show up at Hobnob. We have an area in the back of the Coliseum where they just stand and network and talk and hobnob. And then we have those that really want to hear what our state leaders have to say. And we've got plenty of places there for them to sit and listen. But we've got a great lineup this year, probably as good as we've had in a long time. We're going, the day will be highlighted by Governor Reeves. He'll close us out before we do lunch. We do a fantastic lunch. All of our other statewide leaders, Lieutenant Governor Hoseman, Speaker Jason White will be there, and really and truly we mix in some of the things we're working on. Very excited about a panel that we're doing right now that is really looking at how do we equip Mississippians for workforce and growth and innovation. And we've got a couple of people who are on the front lines of getting the employees through the door, and that's the Chief Human Resources Director both at Amplify, which is the cell technology company up in Marshall County, Jacqueline Jones, and then Lauren Lawhorn, who is the Chief Human Resources Officer at C-Spire. And you think about what C-Spire is doing and how they have continued to grow their business as a not just a cellular provider, but as a technology company, expanding in so many areas to grow the company. And, one of our homegrown Mississippi-based companies that we can all be proud of. So getting their insights. So you have the insight of the company that's been around a long time, that's continued to innovate, continued to grow, and what their workforce needs are, and then the company that's still in the process of building their facility in Marshall County and what their workforce needs are going to be as we go forward. So, and then Blaze King from Accelerate Mississippi. Blaze is really he's the director of workforce innovation there at Accelerate Mississippi, and he one of his jobs is to also oversee the career coach program, which we're very proud of the fact that we now have that throughout the state and give students a chance to learn about careers. So we got to really continue to build out that program and improve it and figure out ways to get the outcomes we're looking for as it relates to our career coaches. So that panel is really something I'm looking forward to. In addition to, of course, there's always the politics. That's the fun part of the day. But that's part of what we're doing.
It really, listen, I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, I exchanged notes with Bill Cork yesterday. He was in Japan. It was 4:35 Bill's time, Japan time, which when you start to look at those time differences and you get a load of what President Trump's doing on his Asian tour, it makes you wonder when in the world is he actually sleeping. But the note from Bill, I didn't know he was in Japan when I sent him a note, and to learn that's where he was. The reality is there's so many people on every dimension right now working to continue to maximize the economic opportunity that Mississippi is enjoying. I think about the conversation with Mary Graham, the president of Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, or the president of William Carey. I spent a whole hour last week with Mark Keenan from Mississippi State, and I marveled really honestly at, sort of knew this going into the conversation, how many dimensions Mark, as the president of Mississippi State, was having to operate on simultaneously to be a successful president. Forget about what he's involved with on the collegiate sports side as a leader in this nation. But, man, isn't it great in your role to see so many stakeholders understanding what Mississippi has to continue to do to stay on the cutting edge and stay competitive?
It really is. I mean, my predecessor, Blake Wilson, coined this phrase of putting us in the place of greatest opportunity, and we now have that as part of our mission at MEC. And I think as we go forward, you mentioned the new organization we'll talk about in a little while, that will continue to be how do we put a vision in place that we move forward. But I think Mississippi is in a place of great opportunity right now, unlike anything that I've seen in the 20 years I've been at MEC, and even in my lifetime growing up in Mississippi and living here throughout my life, is we're seeing things happen that a lot of people didn't think we would ever see. We're seeing improvements in education at a level that is incredible. Now we've got to take that to the next level, and that's where we see ourselves, particularly as it relates to how do we create pathways to true opportunities here in Mississippi. It all begins with a connection between businesses and education. But you think about the economic development that's taken place over the last few years, and really and truly, all of those things that are happening right now that are just incredible. I mean, the amount of capital investment, and I know that a lot of it's driven by the cost of the data centers, but that's still, those will create new opportunities in an area that we've never had in our state before. So I really feel like our state is really positioned to do some great things. We're seeing some great things now, but I think we're going to see even more in the future.
No, I think there's a lot of data points. I think sometimes when you get in a conversation like that, sometimes leaders don't let the facts get in the way of a good presentation. But if you look at Bollinger growing, you look at what Ingalls is doing, you look at what Stennis is doing and the opportunity at Stennis. You look all across the state from the Golden Triangle to DeSoto County and Madison and every point in between. There's amazing things happening. You look at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, where over 50% of their students now are in a non-traditional education. And then you have a conversation with someone like Mark Keenan, and you get a grip on all these efforts, the partnership with the Ingalls, what he's doing at Stennis, what you see happening in partnership with the Golden Triangle. And that's just those universities and colleges. The opportunities, the conversations are similar to these other places. There's a lot of focused people right now. The facts are the facts. Mississippi's in a special place right now, and we can build off that. We got less than a minute, but go ahead.
We really are, and I think it all begins with that one thing: partnerships. If we build these partnerships, we can even move it to a different level.
I see more people getting that than I have ever seen in my career, and I have been around for a while, and I see it so clearly. Listen, I'm Ricky Mathews. I'm sitting in for Gerard today from the Element Wealth Studio. Let us hear from you. We want to hear what you have to say on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Please don't text and drive. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Scott, and we'll talk about this mega merger that's about to happen that I think is going to be really important to this overall conversation that we're having. We're visiting with Scott Waller, who's the president and CEO of the Mississippi Economic Council, and I mentioned before we went to the break about what I alluded to at the beginning of the show, what I call a mega merger. Is it inevitable, Bill, or do we still have some necessary steps yet to come?
I want everybody to be there Thursday to hear more about what's about to happen. We are officially merging the three organizations you mentioned, the Mississippi Economic Council, the Mississippi Manufacturers Association, and then BIPEC, into a single organization that will be under one banner called the Mississippi Business Alliance. Very excited about this opportunity. We will spend some time letting everyone know kind of how this came to be, what it means, what the vision is, but more importantly, forward-looking in terms of how we're going to grow this. And you'll hear, I'll get the chance to talk a little bit about how we got to where we are. John Hairston, who is CEO of Hancock Whitney, is currently the chair of MEC and has agreed to serve as the first chair of the Mississippi Business Alliance. He will be with us on Thursday, outlining kind of his vision as well as to what this is all about and why this matters, to bring these organizations together to speak as a single voice. So in reality, we have a chance to really create something special. John McKay, who is currently the president and CEO of the Mississippi Manufacturers Association, will be the president and CEO of the Mississippi Business Alliance. I will move into a different role. I will be over the foundation programs, and we'll be talking about one of the programs that we launched last week that will be a big part of what our foundation will be doing at Hobnob as well, and we can talk about that in a few minutes if we have time. But ultimately, Ricky, for so long we've had these organizations that have served the business community, and they've all had their role. But in reality, to really be effective, to really speak as that single voice, to really give us that opportunity to be the type of organization that our political leaders can understand where we're going and what we need to be doing to grow our business community, to grow our economy, and ultimately provide opportunities for all Mississippians to be prosperous. This was an opportunity to do it, and the stars aligned. And I'm so excited that the stars have aligned to allow this to happen. But I'm even more excited about the leadership. When you have someone of John Hairston's caliber that's going to play that volunteer role and work with our board, which is going to be a tremendous board. We had a meeting 2 weeks ago and had a organizing committee that had the authority to select the board, pass the bylaws for the organization, and then select the CEO as John McKay to oversee the operation. There are some great days ahead for the business community here in Mississippi under this combined umbrella.
Bill, and I appreciate your leadership. Listen, when the conversation that you and I were having before we went to break, I would refer to this as literally playing a part in helping to secure Mississippi's future by bringing all of those CEOs and business leaders into a single organization with a single voice. It's sort of what we did with the Business Council back after Hurricane Katrina hit, and it will have a fundamentally strong impact. John Hairston, incidentally, is a good friend, and he has expressed his excitement about this. It's been a heavy lift, you all know that. But I've worked with him in the community for many 30 years. I don't even know how many years. But we're dear friends. And I know him to be one of the smartest guys I know. His ability to compartmentalize is as good as anybody I know. He has enormous capacity. He is literally the perfect chairman to have of this new organization. I'm sure you see it the same way, don't you?
Without question. I mean, it's interesting. Sometimes, I've always said sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. As we were putting all this together, I was thinking about who all needs to be at the table, who all needs to be in leadership, and I go back 2 or 3 years and thought about who our chairs would be, how they would align with their involvement with the other organizations. And then when John comes along and we start having conversations about how do you bring these organizations together, and his knowledge, his expertise through the years of doing this day in and day out in so many ways within his industry. What I love about John is John's a chemical engineer who's running a bank. So that gives you a totally different mindset of how somebody thinks. And to have that kind of perspective has been really cool in bringing this together. And honestly, I think the timing could not have been better. I think that we're getting this done quickly. And then really and truly, I think we're going to have a chance to do some great things. And I know we're just about out of time, but I do want to remind everybody again, Hobnob is in 2 days, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk a little bit about our Work Future Institute, the work for Workforce and Educational Excellence. We've got a great agenda. I hope you'll join us. Go to mec.ms. You can still register, and it's going to be a fun day.
It's going to be the thing to do this year, especially given all that you and I just talked about. It's been a heavy lift for you bringing those organizations together. We've been talking about it for a while. Congratulations on reaching this point. It's been a pleasure to spend some time with you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Ricky.
You bet. This has been Bill Waller from the Mississippi Economic Council. Listen, it's been great to just continue to spend time with you today. I'm Ricky Mathews from the Element Wealth Studio.